I'm Anthaea-Grace Dennis. I am a master's candidate in University of Toronto Institute of Medical Science and Krembo Research Institute. I graduated from the Honors Bachelor's Program at U Ottawa in 2023, and there I was researching the cerebellum and movement handedness in correlation to that. And then I applied to the master's program at IMS. I got in, thankfully. And I started this wonderful journey of presentation. I've been able to present my research at SFN 2023. I'm obviously presenting here. I've had so many wonderful opportunities within IMS and within my lab to share my research. You don't want it to just be work, right? You want it to be really interesting. And reading about all of the research in Parkinson's disease and actually how little research there is using artificial intelligence for Parkinson's was really inspiring. So when I was initially doing a review of the literature in the beginning of my program, I found a couple articles, but not a lot of articles, using these machine learning techniques for Parkinson's. And with how quickly the field is advancing with AI, I thought it was wild that there weren't more. Like, it's so useful. I mean, it can be used to observe patterns that aren't visible by the human eye. It's so much faster than going through each of the patient data sets individually. And I think it's really an underused tool in the clinical field. Seeing the untapped potential of it really made me want to explore it more. And then when I saw that it was primarily used just one biomarker at a time, I thought that was wild since it's capable of so much more. And so I wanted to combine these biomarkers to, improve diagnosis and, use AI to the fullest of its potential. My research focuses on combining biofluids with neuroimaging biomarkers with machine learning techniques to hopefully create a diagnostic tool for Parkinson's. We used 254 patients in the PPMI dataset, organized by the presence of Parkinson's disease and the presence of MCI. We ensured that all participants had at least one instance of DAT-SPECT imaging and at least 2 instances of one of 5 biofluid cerebrospinal fluid biomarkers. We used this data to create 2 models based on 2 different machine learning techniques, which were random forest and support vector machine. Because these 2 mechanisms are very different, it might result in different accuracy metrics. And then we actually assessed the output of this using 5 different metrics, which were accuracy, area under the curve, kappa, sensitivity, and specificity. I used algorithms that are in the R programming language, and I used 70% of this data, and I trained the model based on that data. So for instance, if you focus just on DAT-SPECT, you take the DAT-SPECT striatal binding ratios and the clinical features of 70% of your data, and you feed that into the model. And then you test the model on another part of your data that's typically 20% or 20%, 15%, around that much, to get the model more data to essentially train. And then you train typically another model from that model if you really want to be robust. And then you test with the remaining 15 to 10% of your data to get the final accuracy metrics, which is part of why there wasn't a lot of data in the end for the model combinations, because if you had, for instance, 100 patients that you started off with, you end up testing your final data on about 10 patients, which is not a lot of patients. We first created models using one biomarker at a time. We found when detecting Parkinson's disease that the use of the DAT-SPECT biomarker alone resulted in accuracy of 90 to 99% across all accuracy metrics. And then when we detected mild cognitive impairment, we found that all 6 biomarkers were at the same level between 300 and 100. So then we wanted to combine the biomarkers to determine if this could improve on the mild cognitive impairment accuracy. And first, starting off with detecting Parkinson's, we separated the results into normal cognition and then mild cognitive impairment with SVM on the left and random forest on the right. When we detected Parkinson's in patients who had normal cognition, so without mild cognitive impairment, using DAT-SPECT alone with no other biomarkers actually achieved the best results between 90 and 99% with all accuracy metrics. When we detected Parkinson's in patients with mild cognitive impairment, we found that actually a combination of that spec with beta amyloid 42 and phosphorylated tau 181 led to 100% accuracy metrics across all 5 of the metrics, which was wild. We're obviously going to need to confirm that and validate it multiple times, but it's really promising. And finally, when detecting mild cognitive impairment, the best performing models used phosphorylated tau 181 in healthy controls and total tau in Parkinson's. However, these models did not achieve 80% accuracy in any of the accuracy metrics. So we would want to try other neuroimaging biomarkers such as MRI to see if that would improve the accuracy metrics, since that spec is kind of related to Parkinson's and not MCI. It's definitely a couple of years out from any actual clinical implementation, but this could definitely make a diagnosis more efficient. If all you had to do was, for instance, ask your patients to get a scan that they likely would already get for diagnosis if the Parkinson's is unclear, and then a lumbar puncture maybe to assess one of these biofluids. And then you can enter that into a formula, get the probability that they have Parkinson's, and combine that with your own assessment as a clinician. And we plan to expand to other neuroimaging techniques that might be more accessible. Depending on how that goes, we might expand to other atypical Parkinsonisms like MSA, PSP, that are more frequently diagnosed as Parkinson's disease. It's a great feeling to be able to contribute this much to the research at a young age. I definitely want to continue researching. I don't know, I think it would be very useful from the research aspect to do clinical work like as a clinician. I haven't decided yet. I have time. My age does not limit me, because it actually means I can research for 10 more years than the rest of the population. That's kind of what it feels like, being able to contribute at this time when AI is at its, not yet at its peak, but it's getting there.